Special needs students face daily challenges that will affect their ability to learn. And we all know this. We know that they're at a greater risk for being bullied. They're at a greater risk of failing in the classroom because of a lack of communication. They're just at a much greater risk of not being able to succeed and get the education that they need and we want them to get. This is where placement comes into play. Proper placement is incredibly important to the ability for these students to succeed. Proper placement can be tricky. There's multiple types of classes. You have SDC classes, inclusion classes, ED classes, and severely handicapped classes. Now usually the severely handicapped class isn't going to be that hard to place them in because you're going to know that right off the bat. When we're talking about inclusion classes and SDC classes, that becomes much more tricky. The inclusion class is going to be a general education class where the special needs student is allowed to go into the class and do the same curriculum that the regular ed students do. They will just get some extra help. The SDC class would be a class where all the students are special needs class and they can work at a slower pace, and there's usually more help in those classrooms. There's at least 2 teachers in the classroom at a time. There's also an ED class where the kids are emotionally disturbed, and those are usually a lot smaller and a little more easier to put them in there. Now this all starts with the IEP. The student has to get an individualized education program, and that's where this placement sort of starts. A lot of times there's a problem with this. We have a lack of communication, which kind of leads to problems with the placement. We might not get communications from the school prior where the student was coming from, or there's a lack of communication between parents, teachers, and staff, and we'll get more into that. A big part of this problem was the growth of special education students in the classroom. There's just a larger population of special education students in the population now, just in America, so that means there's going to be more in our classrooms. So the more special education students we have in the classrooms, the greater need we have for qualified teachers. So we have to have qualified teachers that are willing to work in these special education classrooms as well. Proper placement is critical to these kids' success in the classrooms. It's not only critical to the student, the special needs student that is in the classroom, it's critical to the entire classroom success. If we get a student that's not placed in the right setting, it could disrupt the entire classroom, not just that one student. So placement is incredibly critical to that specific student's success as well as the success of the entire classroom. The success of that student can directly be tied to this placement, to the placement and the ability of the adults involved to properly communicate and be able to place that student. Many times this might happen, a lot of times students get behind because they were never properly placed. They were never properly placed from kindergarten on. So by the time we catch them in the 7th or 8th grade, they're already drastically behind their peers because they were never properly placed to begin with. So then that puts them behind and it puts them at a greater disadvantage than a normal student. This often leads to the student believing that they're a troublemaker because they can get labeled as a troublemaker because they were never in the proper setting to begin with. So this can lead to the student believing that they're a troublemaker or believing that they're unable to be successful in the classroom. And this is all because the adults involved did not properly place this student to begin with. Either a parent didn't say anything, didn't bring it to someone's attention, the school did not properly place him, or something else got in the way. Now there's many reasons for this proper placement, for the improper placement or proper placement. The biggest thing would be communication. Like I just said before, this often happens because the student was never properly placed to begin with. And this is one of the things that leads to a student struggling in class, acting out, not doing the right thing, not being successful in class. And this was all because the student was not properly placed. This goes into the parents. Parents have to be the student's biggest advocate. This all starts at home. Everything has to start at home for these students. The parent has to be the biggest advocate, and the parent's the first one that has to notice this thing. When a teacher has 20 to sometimes 35 to 40 kids in the classroom, the teacher's not going to be able to notice the specific need of every single student. A parent has to be the first one to notice it. They have to notify the school, they have to notify the teacher, and then take those proper steps to get help. Unfortunately, studies have shown in low-income areas, especially like ours, in low-income areas, the parents are much less likely to ask for help and ask for special services. There was a study at the University of Michigan that stated this, and there's been many that just state that in low-income areas, for some reason, these parents just do not ask for help. They might not see the signs, they might not know the signs, or they're just unwilling to ask because they're embarrassed. Another problem could be that schools, the student may have come from one school or one district, and now the new school does not offer the same services, or the district does not offer the same services. Another problem is the constantly changing federal regulations on how to treat special needs students. Many times these regulations will come out and the state or the federal government doesn't even let a district know or doesn't let a teacher know. This goes back to communications. Teachers have to be kept up to date with these things. So some of the solutions, again, parents have to be the biggest advocate for their student. The main goal of that parent should be that the student succeeds. Everything starts at home. Once a parent gets involved and really wants to see their child succeed, now we can create a team with the parent and the teacher, and we can work as a team to make sure that that child can succeed. Teamwork is the most important element here. There has to be teamwork between the parent, the teacher, and the school, all working as a team so that the student can be successful. If a parent's not going to be on board and not going to work with the school and with the teacher, it's going to be really hard for that student to be successful. That also leads to what helps one student might not help the other. So a teacher, in turn, has to be flexible. They have to be able to adjust and be able to manage one kid might be different from the next kid. They have to be able to adapt. And this leads to also the district. We have to have communication with the school district. The schools and the districts have to have communications. Something that might help this parent communication and this teamwork would be meetings that are set up between not only meetings for the teachers and the districts to communicate, where the teacher should be running the meeting, not the district. So the teachers should be running these meetings and telling the district their needs, not where it's the reverse, where the district comes in and tells the teacher what they need to do. That doesn't really help the student. We also need to set up meetings between parents and teachers. Meetings, times when parents can come in and talk to the teacher, and it's not just a conference call that, hey, your student's doing bad or not doing the right thing. We can bring teachers in, that way there are parents in to speak with teachers about positive things that are happening in the classroom. Let's say we had a parent that would come meet once a month to talk with the teacher and talk about what positive happened in the classroom, things that are going right, not just what's going wrong. You could also address things that need to be fixed, but try to keep it as positive as we can. That way we can keep the teacher or the parents involved with the teachers and keep them working as a team. Again, these meetings should be run by teachers, set up by teachers that are working with the parents. There's also things like Google Classroom that the parents can get online and use in the technology today. Without communication, this is back again to communication, which with this teamwork, this communication between the parents and the teachers is critical. So we have to have, in order to have teamwork, we have to have communication from the very top. It has to start with the school district, on down to the teacher, then to the parent. I just talked a little bit like parent outreach programs, community-based programs for the parents to come to and get information about what their student needs or what steps they need to take to make sure that their student receives the help they need. These are programs that, again, would stay positive. Parents can just come in, ask questions, find out what they need. They can sit down and talk to the student's teacher. It doesn't have to always be a phone call home and the kid's acting bad. So this goes back to teachers keeping this open line of communication with parents, working as a team, and being able to make sure that parents, staff, teachers, students, everyone involved is there to do what they need to do for the success of the student.
That's really Like this.